It was exactly 80 years ago.
It was 80 years ago.
Exactly 80 years ago.
80 years ago.
November 9th, 1938. It was Kristallnacht.
My grandmother was home alone in their apartment. She heard a knock at the door.
And there was a knock on the door.
The fire started. There was a fire going on in the synagogue.
Looked out their windows from their apartment in Berlin and watched the crowds and throngs of people coming down the street, as my father later wrote, with pickaxes and shovels, and they took to breaking and tearing down my grandfather's dry good and linen store, which was just down the road.
A few minutes after that, the SS men knocked on the door again. This time they took my grandfather away to jail and eventually to Sachsenhausen concentration camp.
My father was arrested, so they arrested him and took him to Dachau.
As she left, she saw the Gestapo dragging other women out. Everyone was looking for their husbands. My mother did not know at that time that my dad was taken to Dachau and would be there for 3 months.
There was a bonfire of prayer books, and our grandfather ran into the shul, saved a few Sefer Torahs, but what's most important is that he saved part of his tallis. So you could see some burn marks. This is all that's left of the tallis.
What happened 80 years ago is still part of our family, and I think everyone. The Holocaust is not going away. It's everywhere. It's all around us. And it really began with Kristallnacht. Until then, I think many Germans thought it was just another one of those periods in which the Jews were going to be persecuted. But I don't think there was much doubt after that this was something very different and serious, and I don't think anybody really knew what direction to go.
I never thought that Kristallnacht had anything else to do but the Night of Broken Glass and temples, and the destruction of the temples. It never occurred to me that it also coincided with the destruction of the Jewish people as we knew it in Germany.
It was dramatic. There wasn't anything that stayed the same. It was so late in the game that everybody lived on, I'm going to call it a hyper edge, a frenzy. The newspapers, the radios, and rallies were hyped up with "Punish the Jews." Something has to be done about the Jews, and of course it did. It was the largest anti-Jewish pogrom of this century, and we know that the result of that was the Shoah.
Kristallnacht was 80 years ago.
It's been 80 years.
It's been 80 years.
It's been 80 years.
It's been 80 years, and I will never forget.
We'll never forget.
And we will never forget.
And I never will forget.
I will never forget what happened because of Kristallnacht.
To my family.
To my family.
What happened to our family.
What happened to our family.